Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Dictate the Game podcast, the podcast associated with the dictatethegame.com website, where we have various articles. We're back on our regular schedule of 3 a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So there are a few for us to talk about today. Today we have three of us on the pod. So we've got Guy, aka FMVars. How are you doing?
How you doing? You all right?
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. And we've also got Ryan with us as well, who is in charge and also went to London with Luke. And we'll probably be talking about that as well, won't we?
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah. So we've got us three today, and we're going to go through our newish format and cover various bits and pieces from Football Manager this week and beyond. So our very first section is the team report. So in the team report, we're going to cover articles that we've had this week. So we've got 3, although by the time the pod goes out, there'll be another one from EHOR as well for you to kind of feast your eyes on. So we've got the Day at SI Towers by Luke. We've got the FM 2020 guides in terms of youth development by Dom. And we've got the top 20 free transfers in the Premier League by Paul, aka the Northman, who would join us, but he is streaming his Inter Miami series, which is worth catching up on YouTube if you get the chance. But what about you guys? Which ones of these have you been reading?
Well, them all, really.
Good.
That's a sort of have to do. I really like the EO save, which has gone up 3 hours ago at 6. I just don't think there's enough words to sort of describe how good and talented EO is at writing and sort of really getting stuff on paper, because I've read so much stuff over my time that's just words on paper and it doesn't really make sense, but I feel like he just absolutely nails everything down to a T. I think it's great. It's
a good series, definitely is. And I also like the fact the one today is about overloads, isn't it?
Yeah, well, if you look at his formation he's using and what he's trying to sort of replica, it's crazy. Like with the sort of capabilities that the United team have, it's so interesting. Like if you just look at this tactics screen, he's got so much like spaces with red boxes where there's potential weak links, but it seems to be doing well considering he's, I think, 6th in the league, 4th currently in the league.
I think Man United would take that. They would probably appoint Eho right now if they knew about this.
Yeah, but Bournemouth are also 5th, so
that's pretty realistic.
That's crazy, yeah.
So that's Eho's article. What about some of the others? What about you? Have you read any of these recently, Guy?
Yeah, I read Dom's one when it came out on the Friday. Really enjoyed that. Just a bit around sort of youth development and where the good new gens are and where to scout them from. So I think for people sort of who haven't been playing it for years and years like us, it's a really good sort of overview of which clubs to look at, have a scout of their youth systems and see what's going on over there. So I was a bit disappointed to see that MTK Budapest are the best in Hungary.
You have to change that. You'll have to change that in your own blog.
Yeah, I'll have to start improving that as we go through in my Honved save. But yeah, no, another good piece and really interesting, I thought.
Are we all agreed that it's new gens, not regens?
Oh, yes. Yeah, I've been categorically told it's new gens, not regens. So
yeah,
I'll get punished for it. But just looking at that, I'm so surprised. But an Albion on there, you've got all these big clubs, like conveyor belt of talent all the time, and then Burton Albion in there.
Yeah,
that's because they've got the England training camp, haven't they?
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Oh god, I saw at the leap there.
Yeah, I don't think that the Burton Albion actually produce that much though, but I think in game because they've got
that actual facilities, yeah,
it gives them that weird 20, so like up there with Spurs and United and stuff.
It is crazy.
But also, that was a bit of a shock.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say we've also got Luke's article who wrote about his experience at Sports Interactive Towers. I enjoyed it. It was good. There was a good little sort of summary of what sort of went down. It's been spoke about quite a lot. What sort of the reason why we went down was for the byline and producing content for Football Manager. And my experience is obviously a little bit different to Luke's. I feel like because I sort of set this up, sort of the foundations of the website and the team, I just thought it was just a really like a relieved moment. Sort of so proud to sort of be personally invited down there to sort of for them to sort of express their thanks for sort of our contributions and helping them sort of do something different. Because I spoke with Dom and Tom about this. I said the community gap between the Football Manager and the actual community was so big before this byline, and it's sort of got creators writing a lot more now. Creators trying to get their content for the Football Manager website, and I really think they're sort of really slowly but surely bridging the gap between the content creators and the actual community. I think it's brilliant.
Yeah, I think years ago they tried to make attempts, didn't they? I'm thinking like FM13, like a long time ago. There was this kind of affiliate scheme or something like that.
Yeah,
I don't think it ever quite took off, did it?
No, I was just going to say you have to, because I remember FM Central, like a official, like I don't think it's partners, but like a affiliation, like official fan site. I think that's the correct word. But I just think that the sort of direction they're trying to take it, when we listen to the presentation, they want to try and give Football Manager content sort of a new sort of life. They want to try and avoid the sort of clickbaity stuff and leave that to sort of yeah, basically the sort of the how-to guides. So like just understanding a role in a little bit more depth, and then sort of especially because these players, well, these people that come into the game probably won't have heard of us, but if they're buying the game, they see the Football Manager website, and then they go on the byline stuff and read like some guides, like some basic guides, and then they'll sort of vary in depth and whatnot. So I think it's sort of bridging the gap between the sort of community fed guides rather than just the sort of fan sites sticking to what they know and not really getting their content seen by people who potentially wouldn't go to our website in any case. So I think it was amazing to get invited down there, and hopefully get invited again next year as long as we keep producing the content we were doing last year.
Well, we can try. We can definitely try, and then we can all go down, and we won't be surprised by things like Ubers and things like that.
Oh yeah, I can't believe that Luke is just lives in an alternative universe. I think crazy. But,
it was good.
It's just crazy, Luke. When I got down there, I said, "Meet me at this place." So I stood at this massive train, like it was like I don't know, it was like an old train, and I said, "I'll meet you there." And he goes, "Yeah, I know where that is." And he shared his location with me. Luke was going the complete opposite direction. Like, I'm not even joking.
Like, and I was like, "Oh my god!" Which direction he was in? He just said he knew where that is.
Yeah, but I was stood there for 20 minutes waiting, and I was like, "All right, Luke's going to come around any second." And he goes, "I think I'm going the wrong way." I was like, "Oh." So we had to meet in the this shopping centre, and my god, it's absolutely humongous. There's about 4 billion floors. Any shop you can imagine. The food court is massive. But it was just so overwhelming. So I've never done the underground. That was very overwhelming for me.
So it was still a trip at first then?
Yeah, absolutely. I've been to London before, but not on the underground. Thankfully, I've been back since. But it was just I wasn't expecting like there to be so many sort of lines and all these going to different directions. You take this one to get to the next one, and they all like sort of cross paths eventually. But yeah, it was definitely an experience.
So there's Luke's article where people can read more about that as well. And Luke was on the podcast last week, so you can catch up with that. So you can listen to that on YouTube or on Spotify or on Anchor.fm. Might go on other platforms as well. But if you've not had a chance, go and sign up to one of them and give it a listen if you want to hear Luke's full description of what's going on. Anything you want to add to the trip that Luke's not covered?
Yeah. When we went for the meal in the evening, it was quite a sort of hipster bar restaurant, and what I ordered was a charcoal burger, and I've never actually had a charcoal sort of bun
just a burger.
Well, I don't know how to explain it. It was practically the same. I just think it probably had different colouring. It was really nice. Luke's a very fussy eater, so we ordered this.
Fish fingers.
No, it was like duck chips, and I was like, Luke, you're not going to eat that, mate. And he got there and said, I don't like it. Oh, it's crazy.
So that's kind of takes us on to the next section, I guess, when we're talking about the byline and what the community are doing. So our next section is the opposition analysis. So the opposition analysis section is our chance to talk about what we've been reading and watching and listening to in the FM community as a whole. So not just our articles, but what else is going on around there. Has anyone had a chance to have a look around?
I've been reading FMEadsters stuff recently, so I don't know whether either of you two are across this, but he's basically created a football club in Ukraine, in Pripyat, where Chernobyl was.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a phoenix club rising from the ashes of the nuclear disaster, obviously. And he brought a piece out. It came out today, actually, on sort of the tactics he's going to be using. It's a really sort of in-depth look at it's Lobanovsky, I think it's pronounced, who was like a really big Russian coach. If you've well, he was Ukrainian actually, but managed the Soviet Union. So if you've read sort of Inverting the Pyramid, I think there's quite a big bit in there about him. Really sort of innovative guy. But yeah, it's a really good piece. Sort of goes into great depth of how he's sort of structured his tactic and then how it works in game and stuff. So no, I really enjoyed reading that. Very in depth. I like those kind of pieces where it's a bit of a longer read, a bit thought about it a lot more, structured it really well. And I think it's a really interesting idea what he's doing over there. So that's what I've been.
How close is the stadium and the ground to actual Chernobyl?
I think so. Basically, I think you had to go into the editor and like create a different city.
Okay.
And then set it up. He also actually set up like a rival team as well to give the sort of story a bit of more depth.
Yeah, but backbone. Really,
yeah. So no, it's really interesting. What he's doing there. So. Yeah, you definitely.
I didn't enjoy the TV series. I thought that was a bit boring, but I think put it on Football Manager and I'm sold.
Yeah. No, I think that's where the idea came from, actually. He was on, I think it was Grass and Gear Pod recently, sort of discussing the save. But no, it's a really interesting idea, definitely out of the box, a bit different. And I'm really enjoying sort of following along with that.
It's good. It's got the kind of history and the context. It kind of adds a little bit to the kind of long term.
I like that kind of save. I mean, you could probably tell from my save this year in Hungary, but it's I like a bit of history to it, a bit of try and tie it back into something that's happened.
Definitely helps.
What about you, Pelham? What have you sort of been reading, listening, viewing?
All sorts, because I've been pretending to work hard. So I've had various things up on the screen whilst I've been doing stuff. So I've been reading FromEleven One, which I always struggle with saying. They've started blogging about their save, and they're based in Serbia for this. And I think they actually did a bit for the Grass and Gear pod about the background to like the Serbian leagues, but it just kind of stuck out to me because it's one of those leagues where it's always kind of in the menu to load up, but they've never actually selected it. And I always probably go there to try and steal some players. Like I'll go to the Serbian national team and try and like nick a youth player here and there who's normally really good, but never actually managed in there. So it's nice to see a kind of different league getting a bit of
attention.
Yeah.
Especially considering you do your Tahiti save, so it is cool.
Yeah, it's part of what sort of drew me in as well. And you can see different rivalries and things like that. And with a lot of the editing and the kind of graphics packs and stuff like that, there's
endless opportunities. Nice. What you can do,
yeah, it looks really nice. I've been reading that. I've also been going through the list on the FM library as well, because they're a nice bunch of guys.
Oh yeah, we got a shout out on that, so we really do appreciate that.
And they've shared lots on there, so I've been looking at that. I've also been watching Loki Doki's YouTube Journeyman, where he's doing a kind of similar thing to not being in Serbia, but he's selected different leagues that he's never managed in before, and they're normally the kind of like smaller European ones. I think he's ended up in Finland to begin with. And I've got a bit of a soft spot for Finland, mainly just because I've been there recently. It's just a nice country.
Thank you for the invite, by the way. Me and Guy, a bit disappointed we didn't get the invite.
No, you can always come along as long as you're paying for yourself.
Oh no, yeah, sorry, I'm busy that day.
So we're looking at Lucky Durkey's stuff, which is always good fun. And then, if we weren't recording this, I'd probably be watching the Northman's Inter Miami thing, mainly because he hasn't fully got to grips with the contracts or designated players.
And he's demanding us to watch it.
I mean, there's that as well. But I
watched the first part the other day before I went to work, and his camera froze, and he was trying to reposition it, and he repositioned it, but it still wasn't spot on because I think Luke recommended him to sign a player, and then he literally went up for about a second, goes, "No, he's shit," and then went off. But yeah, I was watching him do a bit of the drafts, and it's like he's like last pick or something, and he was like, "Well, my last pick, I'm the best," and all. I was like, God.
I mean, the draft thing's always weird because you can put the draft into different leagues in the editor as well. I have no idea whether it works particularly well.
I have no idea how it works, but I think that would be so cool if they did that in sort of in the UK or something, like an academy sort of graduate scheme sort of thing, and then you get sort of poached by different clubs.
It is. I like it as an idea for fairness as well, just spreading out the youth talent.
Yeah, it's definitely something that you could definitely add something different to, say, because if you understood the sort of the reasons and the sort of understanding of the draft, it could be so cool. Just if you have a long-term save and you're like, oh, my club's maybe not financially stable, I want this best one because I'm going to sell one of my best players for like a bit higher spot, and then just hope it'll work. I
mean, so long as the AI have worked out the value of the trades as well, it's pretty good. But I remember a few versions ago, they had no idea. You just end up trading stuff. You end up with all these first-round picks for the next 3 years that you just kind of collected like some kind of dragon sitting on your treasure. But yeah, I want to watch that. But also, I've been watching his Blythe Spartans series.
Yeah, I need to start that.
It's good. He goes into a lot of depth, so he covers some of the finance stuff, which is always interesting. He had his youth intake, I think, today, and they're all short asses. Shortest youth intake.
He'll be very impressed with that, especially considering his lower league, and you sort of do need these sort of taller players in different areas, especially like centre back, or maybe if you want a really tall striker, and he's got a 5'3" striker.
I think the tallest centre back he had was like 5'10", something like that.
Yeah.
Release. Not good. Not good. It was not a good combination. But if you're listening to this and there's anything you think we should be reading or watching or listening to, let us know. Tweet us and we'll add it to our lists because we do love a good bit of FM content. I think we can move, unless there's anything else anyone's been looking at, we can probably move on to our next section.
Yeah. Actually, no, I can briefly talk about, I've started reading Dan Gear's post when he was about the Bolton. And how he's sort of done that. But because I've been so busy the past 2 days, I've managed to watch read the first part and the second part of the season, and I can't believe he finished 1 point out of the playoff spots despite having a -12 deduction at the beginning of the season. And this Ali Crawford, I do apologise. Ali Crawford is a player I always used to sign in the sort of lower leagues, and to see him top goal scorer and highest match rating is insane.
I do like that when there's a player you recognise from previous versions, you're thinking, scout them first.
And another spoiler, he's managed to sign Luke Garbutt, which is a bit of a coup for Bolton.
Yeah.
I mean, he's never really broke through with Everton, but he's sort of almost been a player that probably could play at a higher level than some of the clubs he's been loaned at. So that's very good. I think next season he's definitely got a chance to go and get him promoted. And he's tied down quite a lot of his younger players to longer contracts. So yeah, I'm really enjoying that actually, because some of the pieces I read, there's a lot of detail. I think he balances the sort of pictures. He lets the pictures do the talking a lot of the time, and then just sort of summarises it underneath, really. So I'm really, really enjoying that. I can't wait for this next season.
I think he mentioned in a tweet that he's trying to do it kind of realistically, instead of like this kind of go for broke,
Yeah.
get promoted.
Go big or go home. Yeah.
He's doing it realistic, which is a nice kind of pace. It also makes you feel better when you're not doing particularly well in your own save.
Wow.
Well, it does. It does for me. Right then. So we can move on to the match. So in the match section, it's quiz time, basically. So over to you, Guy, for this.
Yeah, so I'm trying to keep the sort of match section or the quiz section sort of relevant to what's happening every week, keep it topical. And sort of, was it this morning that Emery was announced that he'd been sacked?
Yeah.
So basically, we've had all the same sort of names popping up. So you've also got sort of Marco Silva, who's in danger of getting the sack at the minute. Pellegrini at West Ham as well. So I thought we'd have a little quiz on the managerial merry-go-round and sort of see if you can guess some managers who are in the lineup to replace some of these managers who are looking pretty precarious. So what I'm going to do is I've gone on this website called thesackrace.com, which is a brilliant website.
Right,
by
so
the
me
way,
and Pelham, we're not going on this website.
no cheating. And basically, I'm going to read out. So I'm going on manager's profile. I'm going to read out the next team odds, going from the favorite to the least favorite, and you've got to chime in and say who you think the manager is. So you can buzz in. I'm going to read them one by one from the favorite to the least favorite. You can buzz in, just say stop, and I'll
when it's the favorite.
So I'll read the team names out, and you say stop when you think you know who the manager is.
Well, who's favorite to take over?
Who's favorite to take over
Right.
at these clubs? So we'll do an example, for instance. So if I go Arsenal, Real Madrid, Barcelona. So you can chime in anytime that you think that you know who the manager is. This is the list of the clubs from the most likely to the least likely. Yeah.
Okay.
So Arsenal, Real Madrid, Barcelona, Man United, Bayern Munich, Liverpool.
I've got a guess. Is it Pellegrini? Is it? Is that his name?
Allegri, not Pellegrini.
That's the one. Yeah. That's the one.
Yeah. So that's the idea, right? They're all managers who are out of a job at the moment as well. Okay.
All right.
Right, ready?
Yeah.
So we'll dive in with this one. Okay. So first club on the list is Everton.
Mikel Arteta.
Incorrect.
Oh.
Nuno Santa.
No.
Right, you have to go to the next club. Yeah.
So
Big Sam.
Southampton is the next one on the list.
Oh my god!
I'll tell you what. I'll just give you the full list, and then you got to tell me who you think it is, and I'll give you like 3 guesses each or something. Okay. Everton, Southampton, West Ham, Hearts, as in Hearts of Midlothian, Northern Ireland, England, Manchester United, and Liverpool. And Liverpool's 500 to 1. And Man United's 200 to 1, so that kind of gives you an idea.
Do you want to guess first, or shall I?
Oh, you go for it.
All right, I'm going to say David Moyes, maybe.
Correct. Oh, David Moyes. Well done.
I thought he'd be more favourite for West Ham than the Everton job.
Yeah, no, he's 2 to 1 odds on.
Oh my god! If we get please no.
Yeah, man.
I'm going to just petition. I'm going to stand outside the Goodison Park with a sign saying,
"Go away, David.
Please no."
It's a bizarre, that he's been linked with. I don't know what he's done to deserve this, but
you can never go back.
There we go. Anyway, so that's that one. So next we will go over here. So this manager's list of clubs are Hearts of Midlothian, West Ham, Grimsby, Leyton Orient, and Manchester United at 500 to 1.
Oh my god! And these are out of a job.
He's out of a job. Yes, I'll give you an extra clue with this one. He's only been out of a job for 18 days. Okay.
I'm trying to think who was sacked recently and got
yeah
complete blank.
No, it's not Chris Hughton, is it? No.
No, it's not Chris Heaton.
He's been out for a lot longer than that.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a tough one, because to be sort of favourites for the Hearts job, and then Grimsby is someone probably not as high reputation as some of the bigger names.
Is it Carl Fletcher or someone like that from like lower? No, because that wouldn't make sense, him going to that.
It's a well-known manager who's in the Premier League last season.
Neil Warnock.
Big clue for you. Correct, Neil Warnock. Yeah.
Oh, I thought he would retired. I thought he was
He'll
retired.
never retire.
Yeah.
That's
That's a tough one,
shins to kick. He'll never retire.
There's a theme here in that these are all sort of managers who are very much on the merry-go-round, and they seemingly keep getting jobs for no apparent reason.
Stealing a wage.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so the next manager, his next team odds, most likely is Everton, then Southampton, West Ham, Northern Ireland, Man United.
I'm going to guess Mikel Arteta again.
It's not Mikel Arteta.
Mikel Arteta's favourite at the moment.
He's not been on the merry-go-round.
Yeah, he's only 8.
Oh, okay.
He's 8-1 Everton, so a bit more of an outsider.
Mark Hughes.
Correct, yeah, Mark Hughes.
Oh, forgot he existed.
He's a very good footballer in his day.
Yeah, but that day was a while ago now.
Yeah, just probably not transferred that onto the managerial.
So this manager has been out of a job for 1 year and 6 months, so quite a while.
Right.
He is linked with the Southampton job most heavily, 12-1, and then West Ham, Northern Ireland, Everton, and England. England at 66-1.
I was going to, until you said England, I was thinking Big Sam.
I was thinking that as well.
It is Big Sam.
What?
Been out for a year and a half. Oh yeah, because he got sacked at the
Yeah.
beginning of the season.
But he's still 66-1 for England.
Which is bizarre.
Yeah, but people, that's never going to happen.
That's paddy power for you.
Yeah.
That's true, yeah. Never have to pay out on that one.
Okay, so I think Ryan won that, didn't he? 3-1? Are we saying
Yeah.
that? Ryan won.
Pelham, you've lost twice in a row now.
Yeah.
I'm not very good at this.
Pick your game up for next week, I think.
We just need one where the answers are all going to be like Big Sam or Vinnie Jones. Something
I thought I was onto a winner with this week's game with you. I thought you'd be all over it, but
all of the poor technical managers. Probably.
Yeah.
Well, I'll start revising for my next quiz then.
Excellent.
Especially
Look
if Luke's
forward
going to
to
be
it.
on, because I'm not going to lose to Luke again. Refuse.
No.
I'll just stop recording if that happens. Right then, talking about Luke, we've got our letters for Luke section. So you can email us if you've got questions for Luke. They don't have to be baking related because his baking expertise. They should really be about Football Manager. Even though his expertise in Football Manager is not as high as his baking expertise. You can also just contact us on Twitter and DM us, or go onto the FM group on Facebook, or probably even on FM Central. You can find us. Has anyone responded to your tweet, Ryan?
No one's responded. However, I've got a question for you.
All right, then.
I've got a question for both of you, actually. What is your favourite role on Football Manager?
You go, guy.
Ooh. Oh God, that's a tough one. I'd say probably something very basic, like centre mid on attack. I think is probably my favourite role. Yeah, I'll go with that. I love it. Just the runs you create from deep and stuff. Because I generally play a sort of either a 2 or a 3-man midfield. But this time around, I've been playing a 2-man quite a lot because I like having 2 forwards. So, and I just find that works really well. It's a good balance with sort of like a more defensive centre mid, and then maybe like a deep line playmaker on defend or something, and then a centre mid on attack to sort of arrive late in the box and provide options for the strikers.
That works. That definitely works.
Yeah. So centre mid on attack for me, I think.
I remember you telling me about that role last year because it was something I don't really use, and I've got to agree the way that it plays is so good because it does a bit of everything, but you always know if there's a cross coming in late or something, or It's like a 30-yard screamer. You always know your centre mid attack is going to be there or thereabouts around it. It's such a good role, but I'm using it in League 2 at the moment, and it still has a really good effect. Like some people just sort of go for something really, really simple and basic, but I just like the bombing forward. And obviously, not every game they last the full 90 because it's for me, I play him like a very demanding role. So getting that extra burst of pace or something in the last 20 minutes from that midfield role, rather than just having someone fast up out wide, is so good.
It's a bit more flexible as well, isn't it? You can add a little bit more in the way of instructions rather than the kind of preset.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, because it is just centre mid. Centre mid is a bit of everything all into one.
Yeah.
What about you, Pelham, anyway?
I'm torn between two. I think up front, I quite like. It might not be what people expect. I'm not going to say target man. I'm going to go for pressing forward.
Ooh, I don't use that at all.
Pressing forwards are amazing. Whether it's support, attack, or defend. In fact, attack or defend, you don't need support. I'm not even sure if they can do support, actually. But they just kind of hang so far forwards that if there's the slightest mistake, they just sort of sniff it up and they're in there. Or if you're playing a really pressing game and you've got a very aggressive pressing forward, which all of mine are by default, that's the only way they're allowed in the team, is they just start kicking lumps out the defenders. And you can just use them to bully defenders, especially if they've got like slightly, weaker or slightly slower ones. They're a nightmare. They're an absolute nightmare. But my runner-up would also be no nonsense fullback.
Oh, that is a
because they just kind of shithouse it all the way through. You can basically put an extra centre back in there, and they won't move. They just keep this kind of back line completely static. So you can have your two banks of four or whatever you want, and they don't push up. They're a proper like Pulis defender. There's an extra centre back that doesn't contribute to anything other than
defend,
hobbling players and booting it forward.
Why do you like it so much? Then is it just purely because of the fact that there's very little in the way of the attackers trying to get past him?
Yeah, they just completely put people on their ass. If they've got a good one, someone will try and drill past them, knock them down. They'll try and go over them, head out of the way. They'll try and pass through them. That'll probably work because they'll be really, poor positionally or just bad technically. But they just stop a lot. And I think when you're like a new team and you're trying to get the defense sorted out first, which is what I try and do. I don't do it particularly well, but I try and do that. It's just nice to make sure you've got your back line kind of locked up tightly. And if you're at lower league as well, you might not have very good, wing backs or full backs anyway. So you might as well just throw in an extra defender.
This is Pelham's tactics now. We know it. Score more, yours is score less.
Yeah. What about you then?
Anchorman.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Nice.
Because of the film, or
no? I've actually not seen the film. It's by far and away my favourite role. Doesn't always get the highest attributes, not the highest match rating, but it always, like every sort of creative thing, it's just they can either play simple, spray it out wide, and I just feel like it gives my two centre midfielders that little bit more going forward. And then with my fullbacks, even though they're on support, I found in this year's version they go a bit forward a little bit more, which I really like. And I like the way if they counter, it'll just drop back and push into the right back or left back role. I love it. And my next piece will be about the anchor role because it's so good. Like I'll try and analyze how it sort of works. I play I would say it's a 4-3-3 with a holding midfielder, and it's just the way that there's not too much complication. I've got an inside forward on the left and a winger on the right, and the sort of different passing channels they play with is so good because it doesn't always have to go forward. And I feel like having a midfield triangle can really break down these teams that I'm sort of playing against. But so yeah, that is by far my favourite role.
Nice.
It sounds tempting. What kind of level are you using it at though? Do they need to be pretty good technically, or can you get away with it?
No, I don't think so. Because I've got two at the moment. I've got a guy who was Adam Barton, who was on loan at my local team, Conisky Nomads, last year, and he's at Wrexham now. and I've used him all the way through last season. Well, my first season where I won the league, and I think that's probably down to that sort of formation and tactic that you've almost got an extra, sort of almost like an extra defender sitting there, and it works so well. And then I've also got promoted, signed a new player, who's a little bit better. He's got a little bit more pace and a little bit more technical ability, but I don't think one's better than the other. It's just I like having someone who's a little bit faster, because if they're sort of countering you and you've got someone with 13 pace rather than 8 pace, they can get back into the cover the holes that are sort of left gaping basically. And yeah,
So, yeah.
Yeah, it works. It works so well, and I think some people put it off because in the midfield you want someone who can maybe use a ball winning midfielder who win the ball back. But I feel like the anchor do that. They'll just pick up any sort of loose balls, simple passing, and there's no sort of overcomplications. It's just the principle of do not let them pass.
I can get on board with that.
You should try it. Trust me, it's amazing. Like I said, they don't always get the highest match ratings, but if you sort of watch the game in extended highlights and you sort of highlight your anchorman and you see sort of positioning they hold and the passes they make, it really sort of makes the team tick. It's sort of that gap between defence midfield, but then it's also the ability, because it's such a deep role and the opposition might be pressing as hard, that anchorman will have so much more space and time to make a decision. So even in the lower leagues, you're not sort of losing anything in that regard.
Is there anyone at the top level you would say is like a prime candidate to be an anchorman or someone who fulfills that role at a high profile club?
I'd say Gareth Barry in his sort of latter stages of his career.
Right.
As
that kind of
Everton.
Yeah,
but it's sort of a little bit slow, but I think because of his age, it's sort of his game changed in that way. I don't know if he still plays that role now, but for me, watching him, I thought he was almost the sort of deeper of the midfield. Even though Everton didn't play like a one holder midfield, they played him sort of two. I just think he makes them tick, and without that, it's sort of your team doesn't really have that gap between midfield and defence. And especially because I'm currently in lower league, your defenders and that don't have as much passing. So you sort of, if you've got someone who can just sit and do that work for them, so break up the play, move into different channels, that it works very well.
So we need to keep an eye out for that article in.
Yeah, I'm going to try and go to town with it.
Well, that sounds good. That was a good question. That's better than what I was going to ask Luke, which was completely baking related. It's to do with hairnets and snoods.
That could be for next week's.
Yeah, that'll be for next week. We'll save the baking ones when he's back. So I think that is us for this week, unless there's anything anyone else wants to add.
No, I'm all good. All good.
All good. Well, hopefully you're listening to this and enjoying it. And if you are, please give it a rating or like and subscribe to it if it's on YouTube, something like that, or share it around. And if you've got any questions for us, do get in touch and keep an eye out on the website, dictatethegame.com, for our articles. And we will be back next week.
Thank you for listening.
Bye.
See you later. Anything to add, Luke?